Hello and welcome everyone. Today we have with us Ms. Satmita Ghosh, Advocate at Technology Development Board, Department of Science and Technology. Ms. Ghosh completed her BA LLB honors from the notable GGSIP University, Delhi in 2013, after which she pursued her LLM from National Law University, Jodhpur in 2015. She has completed her certificate courses in Consumer Protection Law and in IPR from Indian Law Institute, Delhi. Since then, she has gone on to work with National Human Rights Commission, Delhi Cantonment Board, Ministry of Defense, before joining the Technology Development Board. Hearty welcome, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So to start with, tell us something about your journey as a lawyer. Was law always your desired field?
So I will start with the second part of the question. Yes, law was something that I was looking forward to. I was always academically inclined, and litigation per se was very, very fascinating to me. So yes, after my master's, I decided to pursue litigation. And yes, so as you said, I've completed my LLB from IP University and master's from NLU Jodhpur. But see, particularly my areas of practice have always been civil and service matters since I've been associated with these two ministries. So I consider myself very, very lucky, so to say, that I have had the opportunity of working with these two ministries so closely. So overall, as till now, I would say my journey has been amazing. In one word, it's been amazing. Thank you.
So during law school, had you always been drawn towards practice, or were there other dimensions that interested you?
See, as I said, I was, academically inclined. So after my law school, I spent some time preparing for judiciary. I attempted a couple of exams, cleared a few prelims, couldn't make it. But then, I kept trying. Then I also thought I should, have some first hand-on experience as to litigation before anything else. And litigation, is since it was always something that I really wanted to, pursue. So I started with litigation right after masters.
Since you scored extremely well in CLAT to be placed in one of the premier national law colleges in country, how do you suggest LLM aspirants, prepare themselves for the examination?
See, I would say each person has his or her own method of preparation or an approach towards the exam. But yeah, I would say there are a few key points one must keep in mind to attempt, say, CLAT or any other competitive examinations. So I think first and foremost will be to know and understand what is the pattern of the exam and the syllabus. What are the acts covered, what should be, if there are, say, general knowledge areas, how to go about that. Then if there is a descriptive pattern, descriptive answer writing or not. So that is one thing. The other thing is one must definitely arrange, at least go by one guidebook, get all the books in one place, and should definitely look for previous year papers. That will be of key use in terms of understanding what are the important areas. One must definitely pinpoint what are the important areas and stress on them. Try to understand their own strengths and weaknesses, using the papers, so that once they keep solving, they will understand which is the gray area for them. Prepare a plan basis their strength and weaknesses. And finally, revision and mock test. You should at least have the feeler of the examination hall. So attempting multiple papers, trying for mock tests, I think, yeah, that should be good. That should do the trick.
Right. Since you mentioned about books, can you suggest some books for the entrance?
See, I used Universal at that time. That is one book that I use. But apart from that, what I believe is one should have a good control over the bare acts. A good control over the bare acts will always help you in writing the answers in terms of So yeah, that's all. That is what I did. I mean, I stuck to one guidebook for questions and patterns, and then it was the bare.
You have pursued your LLB and LLM from two different universities, one being day boarding and the other residential. How was your experience?
Experiences in both the colleges were amazing. It was enriching. It was nice. But yeah, one thing that I would particularly like to mention about hostel life, apart from everything else, is it gives you exposure to lot of people from all over the country. You get to know their culture, their ways of life. You spend so much time away from your comfort zone, so you would learn invaluable lessons away from your comfort zone, from your home, where you're staying alone, about people, understanding life, understanding responsibilities. So yeah, I think that helps you grow as a person. I mean, I would say it did help me learn how to communicate with people. I was more of a introvert kind of a person when I landed there. So yeah, that helped me get and change a lot of things. Be with you're away from home, you're with new people. So yeah, that aspect really helps. Apart from the academics, I think this is something that genuinely helps.
So, who were your mentors, professionally or personally, during that journey?
See, mentors per se, I have always throughout my life looked up to my father. I mean, he's not from the legal background, but he is a self-made man. How he dealt with or handled life. He comes from a very, very humble background. But then eventually, where he reached the positions that he attained in his life, I feel that they are, amazing. The efforts that he put, how he managed everything, it's fantastic. He has always, inspired me to remain focused on the goal, no matter whatever the situation, circumstances. So yeah, that's how it has been for me. And so far as professionally it is concerned, I would say one of my seniors that I was working with in Cantonment Board, Mr. Anchit Sharma. I am very, very thankful to Sir for his guidance and support. I mean, I have always believed that seniors should be very encouraging, accommodating, and Sir was all of those things. He was so approachable. We could always approach, go to him, ask for doubts. He would say, okay, just go, and he will give you complete understanding of the background, how the system worked. He actually was the key factor in initiation of legal cell per se in the cantonment board. How he made a team, it is amazing. It's brilliant to observe him work and everything. So it's very nice. He has been. I have learned a lot of things in terms of practice. How certain parts of CPC to be interpreted. Everything from Sir. So I owe a lot to Sir in terms of this profession.
So, how would you describe your experience in litigation so far?
Litigation was, and amazing. It's very enriching. Litigation as a profession, I have always felt, is fulfilling. You get to do a lot of stuff. Initially, yes, initial couple of years was very tough, but eventually now I feel very, very comfortable. From where it started, because I mean I'm a first generation lawyer, so yeah, initially it was difficult. The struggle, I had to struggle a bit, but now I think I'm pretty comfortable. And I feel that this litigation has its own thrill, and all the law students right after college should have some experience in this area to understand the entire process.
Yeah. So, what, according to you, are the most important skills required for pursuing litigation in India?
Okay. So I would say this litigation or law in general has a lot of facets, right? The advocates are expected to, get their clients, counsel them, draft, file, argue, to an extent get them to pay also. So yeah, one particular skill set or skill will really not, one cannot point out as such. But yes, I would really say that, good understanding of the procedural laws, lots of patience, being a good listener, communication skills, and being thick skinned. I think that should be a few skills to start with, definitely.
Okay. So, how important a role does mooting and debates hold for a career in litigation?
Okay. See, I would say mooting and debates are a good technique to get a basic feel of how, how the papers look, how you're supposed to frame your arguments, and an idea. Definitely, it helps in the initial stages. But what I have always believed personally is that it is very important to, land in the court and observe the proceedings there, see how the councils are addressing their argument, how the other council is rebutting it. You have to be very quick witted. So that, I think, comes from observation. Then you have to see how, what is the take of the judges, how they are, taking the arguments and coming up with the whatever opinion that they're coming up with. All of this is very important to get the real feel of the system. Moots, yes, are very important to give you an understanding, but being in the courts, internships, court visits, I think are a little more important to my understanding. That's a personal view, of course.
How did you come to join such two prestigious ministries like Ministry of Science and Technology and Ministry of Defense?
So yeah, generally when ministries come up with vacancies, they publish advertisements in the newspaper. So yeah, I came across those advertisements, applied there. So far as Ministry of Defense was concerned, there were 5 rounds of interview before we were selected, which included one-on-one with the law officer, then one-on-one with the CEO, then somebody, then there were 2 written rounds. Yeah, that's what I can recall. So there were 5 rounds, after which I was selected. And similarly, in for Ministry of Science, there was one interview which I think lasted for about 45 minutes. Pretty grilling one. So yeah, there were, I think, 8 people on the panel for the interview. So yeah, that's how it did. That's how I landed in these 2 places. So yeah.
Okay, and since you work extensively with these two ministries, could you tell us more about the type of work that came your way, and what are some of the challenges that you may have faced?
Okay. So if we say Ministry of Defense, Delhi Cantonment Board, as you said, there we had a lot of work pertaining to Public Premises Act. There were a lot of work pertaining to service matters, RTIs, general writ petition. There were a lot of writ petitions, against these orders, internal orders. And I was mostly appearing before the High Court and NGT in Cantonment Board. So far as Ministry of Science and Technology is concerned, the role is more of financial or finance related. So it's all commercial matters. A lot of arbitration, a lot of 138 matters. So it's all over the country. So this, I'm now appearing before. I mean, my cases are mostly in district courts all over the country and NCLT. So yeah, that's where I am appearing these days. Challenge is, I would say, as of now, I think past couple of year and a half precisely, all the advocates are facing similar kind of challenges with regard to COVID. So yeah, main problem that we are facing, particularly in this organization at the moment, is handling the cases all over the country. Whatever, and where there are courts which are equipped to pursue the matters virtually, but there are places where they are not, or rather they are not open to that whole idea. So there we are just wasting dates after dates. But okay, I think eventually we'll come around it, hopefully.
Considering your versatile experience, if you were to suggest 3 changes in the current legal education system that would enhance the interest in litigation, what would they be?
Okay. So yeah, I think one thing that I completely believe is a more practical approach to the lessons that are administered. So, giving more priority to maybe your moots, court visits, internships, something of that sort. Yeah. So that is one thing. So that people get a feel of the system, because litigation per se, a lot of people I know that I came across had this notion of being very, oh, it's very tedious, it's this, it is. Every work demands efforts, but I think the whole idea, the whole notion definitely should change. That is one thing. The other thing is procedural law, or I mean, or procedural laws should be taught by practicing advocates to give a
Right,
better insight,
right, right,
to
right.
give a better insight, definitely. Because see, definitely what is there in the acts is there. How to implement them? Just by reading that, you will definitely not understand the how to implement the entire procedure. Third thing that I feel is one of the biggest problems that at least I faced during law school, or I think a lot of people still do, importance of bare acts and how to read and interpret them. Nobody teaches you the significance of commas, maybe semicolons. We had this one professor in NLU Jodhpur who was very particular about it. He would help us read, interpret. We were put under pressure at LLM level to, okay, there were stuff that we had to, okay, this is how it goes, this is where the comma effects, stuff like that. So that is very important. Nobody gives that due significance to bare acts. That is very important. So yeah, this will be the three changes, three, at least these three changes,
Right.
for sure.
And since you mentioned before about litigation also, and since a huge population in India still believes that litigation is tougher for women, how have you seen the legal profession change for women during your brief career? Or how have you seen women change in the legal profession during your brief career?
So three questions in one, huh? Okay. So, yeah, I would say litigation is tougher for women in India. That will be mostly because of lack of support system, right? And also, generally, I would say women are expected to, balance or shuffle between work and home life, prioritizing, which one. So, yeah, that is one thing. The other thing is you will also come across a lot of people stereotyping, women can't handle litigation as a career, and they end up not taking you seriously professionally. But having said that, if you have a good support system, I think any person can flourish in any career, be it a male or a female. That is one thing, right? So what is the second part of your question? Okay, how profession has changed for women, right? Yeah. So, see, whatever I have observed in the past few years, 8 years that I have been in the field, I see, peer seniors and judges being more accommodating, more encouraging towards the women lawyers. Uh, See, in the process in the system, I don't observe much of discrimination any longer. I have not observed it, that is for sure. And how women have changed the profession, I would say, in the last decade, I think you would observe a tremendous increase in the number of women, opting litigation as a career. Uh, yeah, I think that has brought a lot of changes in terms of your gender sensitive laws, right? And since that has come into the forefront, I would say a large scale benefit to the country and growth has come upon from that aspect. That's what I feel.
Right. And
So
you
yeah.
mentioned about the professional surrounding in a, especially in litigation in the courtroom area.
Mhm.
How has that been?
See, I think people have been very supportive and encouraging, at least from my personal experience, what I can say. Be it seniors, be it your colleagues, be it the judges, there are, everybody has been very encouraging, since especially if you are a newcomer, when we started, when I can give you one instance. Initially, uh, I was appearing before. So I think it was in Patiala House, and initially you have those fidgety moments. Everybody does, I believe. I did. I was initially I was like, I was just running. Okay, this. I, I can't even recall who was the judge there, but she was like, "Look, calm down, calm down first." There was this lady judge on the bench. She's like, "First, calm down, and then you can go about it." So yeah, people have been generally very encouraging. That I can give you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think with that last question, we come to an end of this enriching conversation. Thank you so much, ma'am, for sparing your valuable time. I had a lovely time speaking with you. I hope you felt the same.
Thank you. Absolutely. It was absolutely brilliant talking to you. Thank you.
So until next time, take care, ma'am. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Have a great day.